us with a Hurricane HQ Minute on what the numbers in a storm surge forecast actually mean. More than 2 days before Hurricane Helene impacted Florida, the National Hurricane Center issued a detailed storm surge forecast. Around Tampa Bay, they called for the possibility of 5 to 8 feet of storm surge. But 5 to 8 feet above what? We all know that the water level in the Gulf goes up and down with the tides. Well, it's the high tide line that's important in understanding the storm surge forecast. 5 to 8 feet means up to 8 feet above the high tide line, somewhere where that 5 to 8 feet is forecast. Not everybody is going to get that much water, but that's what everybody has to be ready for. Fox Weather has you covered this hurricane season. Find out how to stream us free at foxweather.tv.
Good morning. Welcome back to Fox Weather First. We appreciate you joining us as we track Hurricane Melissa. I'm Craig Herrera.
And I'm Britta Merwin. Melissa truly is a monster. 7th lowest pressure ever recorded in the Atlantic Basin. The winds ferocious, and Jamaica is sheltering in place, prepping for the worst.
Yeah, taking a look at what it looks like on satellite hasn't changed much. It's a healthy-looking storm. Pressure, by the way, has dropped to 901 millibars, and that is significant. You talked about that pressure. The eye still looks pretty impressive as well. And we take a look at what's going on over in Kingston, Jamaica. The conditions just continue to get worse, and they will throughout the rest of the day today. Jamaica, a good chunk of the island, especially central portion of the island, will be dealing with some catastrophic winds, flooding. This is going to affect, with the rainfall, a good chunk of the island. The winds will be the strongest winds for the central portion of the island. And you can see right now flooding on streets. These are scenes that we're going to see more often moving through the day ahead. Again, still a Category 5. Look at those winds, 175-mile-per-hour winds. It has started to lift to the northeast as forecast. It's moving a little faster than it was earlier, now at 5 miles per hour. Now, talking about the pressure Britta was just talking about, so we've had major category storms 5. We've had 3 this year so far in the Atlantic Basin. Second most Cat 5s hurricanes in one season. We compare, or you look back to the last time we saw something like this, 2005, when we had 4 Category 5 storms. That was Katrina, Rita, Wilma, and Emily back in 2005. Getting back to Melissa, and this really, we're watching history in the making. Because of what is going to happen on the island of Jamaica. There it is, Category 5, the entire island under hurricane warnings. Britta, those have extended to southwestern Cuba and the Bahamas. The track takes it over the central portion of the island. It moved a little farther west a little longer. Now it's starting to move to the northeast, which is why the cone has shifted a little farther west. That means impacts are changing for the island depending on where you live.
Yes, so we're going to have a heavy weight of our wind damage on the western side of Jamaica. So you think about a place like Montego Bay, which will get a taste of those hurricane force winds. Hurricane force winds in Melissa right now extend 35 miles-ish away from the center. And so that does mean that those powerful winds, 175 miles per hour, they are tucked in close to that eye wall. So we will see a dramatic difference in the damage reports that we see across Jamaica. The west side of the island versus the east side of the island, which, of course, Kingston, the heaviest population density for the island, they likely will experience more damage in regards to the flooding, the surge, and unfortunately, the threat for mudslides and landslides. For
sure. Like you've seen in the image right below you, Britta, you can see.
That's the harbor.
That's the harbor. Choppy waves.
It should be protected and quiet.
Not the case. And all of that onshore wind is going to give us that storm surge. You think about the international airport that is there. It's only 3 feet above sea level. You had storm surge of 13 feet. What's that, 10 feet above where we could see the runways? And the runways, it is important to keep those runways up and going. Why? Because we need to get aid to the folks out there once this is said and done. Look at the winds whooping up right now as we look at Kingston, Jamaica, and look at the waters, choppy as they are. Visibility is dropping, the rain is increasing, and you can see the winds blowing some of those trees around. You factor in the amount of rainfall that is coming in for the island. You factor in the winds. That is the combination that could set up more in the way of landslides. If you add that much weight onto the landslide or the land, and then you add winds on top of it, it makes it even more unstable. We do want to check in with Fox Weather correspondent Robert Ray, who is live in St. Ann Parish, Jamaica. Robert, checking in with you this morning. Just for perspective, you're on the northern side of the island right now, right?
Correct. Northern side of the island between St. Anne's and Runaway Bay, about 50 or so miles to the east of Montego Bay Airport. And that's where all the resorts are, a beautiful area of the island. And that's where we stand. We're in a lull right now. We had rain moments ago and some very gusty winds, but that has just calmed down. That's what we're going to see. And after landfall, we'll get a lot more intense as the system, treks up here to the northeast. But Craig, Britta, everyone, about a quarter mile down this hill to the north of where we're at is the ocean, the Caribbean Sea, and I can see some of the swells kicking up. Clearly not safe to be down there, not safe for our crew, and that is why, if we can look at this other camera view that we have that's set up behind Pete, who's behind the camera, and Jared Maloney, who is producing. That is the safety aspect of what we're doing. This is how we are going to hopefully maintain the integrity of not only our equipment, but our transmission to be able to bring you these images of the fury of these winds as it treks all the way up through here. It's very important, and it's tricky logistical work to try and maintain this. And we certainly do not want to get hit by flooding or even surge as well. We don't expect a lot of surge here, but no doubt when you have that much rain, the floods, the roads are just not going to be able to handle all of that precipitation. Sewers will not operate. They just no sewer can operate in a scenario like that, especially in the big metropolitan areas like Kingston, which is about 55, 60 miles to the southeast of where we're at. There's a 4-lane highway. That is the main thoroughfare, and hopefully not impeded by the landslides, mudslides, and winds, because that's how a lot of the first responders and other officials are going to be able to move around this island. Because the other areas, the other roadways around Jamaica, basically 2-lane roads, might be have collapsed power lines and structures all over them. And I saw that with Hurricane Beryl in July of 2024, and that was not a landfall, and it was just really high-end tropical storm winds, low-end Category 1 winds. This is remarkable, what's going to happen in the coming hours. The imminent landfall, a Category 5, and by the time it makes its way up here, it will still be a Category 4 as it exits the island of Jamaica and makes its way into Cuba, Turks and Caicos, and Bahamas. Craig, Britta?
Yeah, Robert, we're actually showing a live look in Kingston right now of a bridge that is already overwashed by flood water. So dramatic, different views depending on where you are on the island, and we're just at the beginning. As we go into this afternoon, what is your biggest concern with your location?
Well, my concern is that we can maintain the integrity of documenting this storm as it comes in live on Fox Weather and other Fox platforms. By also, the ultimate concern is that we are all safe when the fury of these winds begin to kick around. And I'm just going to step out of the camera and ask Pete to just kind of push into some of these palms and whatever he may see in the distance. And guys, this is the issue. We are going to be in a scenario where there's going to be flying debris off of homes and rooftops. The mountainsides will have water rushing down them, and you can see maybe in the distance some of the clouds moving across those mountains. And that is going to be a problem as far as traversing in the aftermath of this. I expect down power lines all over. I'm just not sure that we're going to be able to move in the immediate aftermath like we would want. We're going to try, certainly, but the other issue is that we're going to be in this wind field here for the next 24 hours, because the backside of this is going to continue to ravage Jamaica as it even exits the island and moves toward Cuba. So the power and the cell phone service, huge issues. I hope that we can maintain some semblance of cell phone data. I mean, we may have to go on Starlink and use Wi-Fi calling to even get transmission out. So there's many different logistical issues that we're dealing with right now, and there's a lot of unknowns, unfortunately. And clearly, for the almost 3 million residents of Jamaica, what is ahead for everyone who lives here is not going to be comfortable and could be deadly in the coming hours, days, and weeks.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Stay hunkered down. Key message from the National Hurricane Center, number one, remain sheltered. Please be safe. That is Fox Weather correspondent Robert Ray, live from St. Ann Parish in Jamaica.
And we will continue to bring you the latest on Hurricane Melissa as you take a look at a perspective of Melissa from the eye itself. This was captured by the hurricane hunters. It is not that often that you get this full view of the stadium effect. By the way, yesterday, the hurricane hunters had to turn around because the turbulence was too much. That is saying something. These planes are built for it, and so are the crew. That's a look at Kingston, Jamaica. High tide at the harbor is just after 4:30 this afternoon. They are very concerned with storm surge and the intense rain element of this storm in Kingston. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Weather.
Welcome back to Fox Weather First. We appreciate you joining us this morning as we continue to track Hurricane Melissa, a powerful Category 5 storm. I'm Craig Herrera.
And I'm Britta Merwin. We do have live reports from our crew that is riding out Melissa in Jamaica, so make sure that you stay with us today on Fox Weather and our Fox News partners as well. We are seeing dramatically different images across Jamaica this morning. Our crews are riding out the storm on the north side where they've just had some windy weather this morning.
Oh,
but
wow.
Look at this live look in Jamaica, and this is side by side. Monday night, you can tell that there's a bridge. Right now,
no bridge.
no bridge.
It's
this
underwater.
Is the same shot.
It's not
folks.
wiped out, right? It's underwater, I think.
It's underwater. Hopefully it's not wiped out, but to be quite honest, until
I
the
don't
water
know. Yeah,
recedes,
we
we don't know the
We don't
condition
know.
of the road. But to put this in perspective, you know, last night that bridge was exposed and now it's covered in water. So we're looking at probably 12 hours of water being on top of that roadway. That's just an example of the infrastructure issue that we're going to have moving forward.
You think about the amount of rain this is producing over a good chunk of the island, the consistent onshore push. What's all that water trying to do? Make it down to the lower lying areas and then back out to the open waters. Well, guess what? With that constant onshore push, it can't escape. It's backed up. The storm itself has accelerated now. Hey, take a look at this. Now we've got moving at 7 miles per hour. Taking a look at all that's coming in here, it still has winds at 175 miles per hour. So it's starting to accelerate a little bit more. Taking a look at satellite imagery, getting some information from this. Moving up a little bit faster. That does mean we're looking at potential landfall in the next, say, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours about. We'll watch that here on Fox Weather Command, bring it to you. But it's not just about the landfall. That's when the center of the storm goes over land. It is about the impacts. They are going to be widespread.
There's at least 6 to 8 hours of exposure to Melissa for Jamaica in terms of the most intense exposure to the elements. We already are feeling the impacts. Once we get past landfall, we're expecting Melissa's core to be lifting to the north of Jamaica sometime late this afternoon, around 4 or 5 o'clock, and then we will prep for Cuba. But there's a look at that monster eye as it zones in on Jamaica.
Strong winds for the central portion of the island, perhaps 175 miles per hour, gusts up to 200 for the higher elevations.
In the Caribbean, Hurricane Gilbert slammed into Jamaica today and cut a swath of destruction across that island nation.
Of course, everybody knows we have a history. We had Gilbert 37 years ago, and now we're having our first major hurricane since then.
You heard it right there. The last time Jamaica faced a major hurricane before what's happening right now was back in 1988 with Hurricane Gilbert. Now, Gilbert became the hurricane on the 10th in the Caribbean Sea. It went through rapid intensification on the 11th. Video comes in then from Gilbert and the destruction. This is a satellite image as the storm approached the Lesser Antilles. Didn't look that organized, did it? Well, it certainly did intensify as it moved beyond the Lesser Antilles. Once it got closer to the Lesser Antilles, it was a tropical storm. It intensified, got up to Category 3 as it approached Jamaica, and that was for Kingston, made landfall on Jamaica about September 12th. Unlike Melissa, Jamaica saw this movement move from east to west. Here's a look at the track. You saw the satellite imagery of the Lesser Antilles. Tropical storm over the Lesser Antilles, intensified, got up to an impressive Category 4, Category 5 at a couple of points in its lifespan. Here's the trajectory. Notice it went over Jamaica, but it went from east to west. So a lot of the storm surge was happening over on portions of the southern portions of the island. Having said that, the island itself is about 145 miles long. So Melissa is doing this, and the storm surge is going to be impressive for a bigger part of the island with big waves and also a tremendous amount of rain. Not only that, but you talk about the impacts from the center of the storm and what that has. This name, by the way, Gilbert, was retired as it moved over Jamaica. You can see the center of the storm there. 20% of the population became homeless after this storm. At least 45 people died with this storm. And this one was pretty impressive. Some of the maximum sustained winds were at 125 miles per hour or so. This storm intensified, and then it went back into land. It made a landfall near Cozumel, Mexico. At that point, once it went over the Gulf of America, intensified. September 14th is when it made landfall near Cozumel and Playa del Carmen in Mexico. So we had one landfall here right off the Yucatan and then went closer to the areas just south of Texas. Because of that, the tides were 4 feet above where we'd normally see them in coastal portions of Jefferson County in Texas. And take a look at this. Gilbert produced the largest tornado outbreak associated with the tropical cyclone all across Texas since Hurricane Allen, and that was in 1980, and Hurricane Alicia back in 1983. Those are some of the impacts we'll be watching today as well for portions of Jamaica and Cuba, part of the storm that we will also see the potential for tornadoes along that comes with this tropical cyclone as we watch Melissa move up to the north and northeast today.
Beyond the Caribbean, Hurricane Melissa will likely have a direct impact on Bermuda later this week, an island that's found itself in the cone multiple times this hurricane season and just had impacts from Imelda. Now, the moisture from this storm will go far past Bermuda. In fact, even the Northeast will get an extra boost from what is left of Melissa's moisture, a very small after effect in comparison to the life cycle of this powerful hurricane. So here's a full look of the track from the National Hurricane Center. Notice that Bermuda is in the cone. We're expecting impacts to be felt Thursday night into Friday morning at Friday morning's check-in. Right now, the forecast calling for 90-mile-per-hour winds. That's a Category 1 hurricane. Looking at the computer models, there's a lot of consensus here, and unfortunately, whether we get landfall or not, it does look like Bermuda will have impacts, as Melissa at this point, Craig, will be growing in size.
Yeah.
You lift these, powerful storms north in latitude, and they start to grow their wind field, especially considering we have a huge dip in the jet stream sitting off the East Coast, which, by the way, for folks that are watching, this is not an East Coast storm because of that dip, but that interaction of the jet with this storm will cause Melissa's size to grow and the wind field to grow.
And also increase in speed, which is also good. You have high pressure to the west or to the east of this area. And when you look at the consensus, they take it close to Bermuda. Bermuda's a tiny island in the middle of the Atlantic, 21 miles long, less than 2 miles wide. So the target is small, but nonetheless, they will feel the impacts. And that would be in the inclusion of tropical storm force winds, about an 80% chance of that happening for the island. If it
Which
does move,
infrastructure-wise, Bermuda can deal with that.
They're solid.
Yeah,
They're
tropical
solid.
storm force winds they can take, but it
Yeah.
just kind of adds to the flavor of the season that Bermuda's had.
Seriously.
I mean, we had our Haley Meyer reporting live.
Early October.
Yes, exactly. So this is unfortunately just another hit for their season, which has been very active for Bermuda.
Yeah, no direct landfall to the United States, but there will be a bit of influence for the
moisture
amounts
transport.
Exactly. And this is going to happen on Thursday for the I-95 corridor, Boston, New York, Philly. We have a storm system that's moving over the Great Lakes, taps into some of the moisture, and guess what that's going to do? It's going to increase the moisture and it's going to wring it out. So Thursday, this storm is speeding up, brings in the rain. As this moves just to the west, this storm on Friday, most of the heavy rain will be for Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, and lake effect rain, so western New York and central PA. And at that point, perhaps New York, Philly get a bit of a break by Friday night from some of the heavier rain, which is good.
Let's go to the timing for the island of Bermuda. Outer rain bands impacting them Thursday evening. The real deal is Thursday while they are sleeping. Right now, our exclusive Fox model does not call for a landfall, but has the core of what will be Hurricane Melissa staying off to the northwest of the island itself. That does mean that Bermuda would be on the dirty side, experiencing not only wind, but also rain. Again, most likely we'll be talking about tropical storm force winds for Bermuda. They can easily deal with that, as we said, looking at maybe the higher probability of 60 to maybe 80-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Again, even that would be tolerable, but we're looking at, of course, impacts, and rain will be something that Bermuda will have to look out for.
Here at Fox Weather, we are on hurricane alert as we continue to watch massive Hurricane Melissa, Category 5, having an impact on Jamaica and then eventually Cuba. Some of that moisture will make it to the United States. We'll continue to track Melissa as we move forward. Here's the shot of some of the rain coming down in Crossroads, Kingston, Jamaica. More of that to come in the hours ahead.
I'm Brian Norcross with a Hurricane HQ Minute on the question, are coastal areas in the U.S. better protected now, or are they in worse shape than when the great hurricanes of the past came ashore? The answer to the question is mixed. Here on Miami Beach, the beach is much larger than it was decades ago, and there's an extensive dune system which will slow down the surge, except in the most extreme storm. But many places along the coast don't have coastal defenses. A lot of money has been spent making the city of Miami Beach more resilient, and more expensive projects are planned. These dunes aren't just piles of sand. They're made stronger by what's under the sand and what's growing on top. Indigenous plants were chosen to make the dunes as storm-resistant as possible. On the other side of the island, the streets are being raised to account for sea level rise and to help hold back storm surge. Streets that used to flood in heavy rain now drain with no problem. But in historic Charleston, South Carolina, and along the mid-Atlantic coast, where the sea level is rising and the land is sinking, the streets flood in minor storms. This flooding was from Hurricane Nicole in 2022, but this scene is being repeated more often now in recent years. National Hurricane Center projections show the daunting problem. Look at the red covering many parts of the city of Charleston and the surrounding area on this map. Those areas could see storm surge over 9 feet deep, and that's from a Category 3. Here on Miami Beach, a powerful storm could push storm surge over these dunes and into the city, and that's a problem. But the daunting challenge comes from the millions of people that have moved near the water all along the U.S. coast. It's hard to imagine how they'll all get to safety when a big hurricane is coming. Fox Weather has you covered this hurricane season. Find out how to stream us free at foxweather.tv.